Coming up, an interview with a legendary rock trailblazer. She paved the way for so many rockers who would follow in her shadow. She left school at just 14 to chase her rock and roll dreams. A year later, she formed her first group, and then she went out on her own. With a take-no-prisoners approach and an aggressive stage presence, she had everybody in awe, including the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley. Next, this legend tells us the story of her definitive songs and her rise to the top. It's brought to you by Zenni Eyewear. Hey, music junkies. Professor of Rock always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If music moves your soul, you're going to want to subscribe below to this channel so you don't miss out on our daily content. I am really excited today to bring you another episode from our series Revelations, where of course featured artists reveal rare stories about their biggest songs, along with fascinating insight about their careers. Now on this installment of Revelations, we present episode 1 of our recent Zoom session with the incomparable Suzi Quatro. Suzi has a documentary out. It's called Suzie Q. Here we talk about her influence that motivated her to be the trailblazer for all women in rock, as well as one of her most iconic songs, along with the documentary. And that's where our story begins on Revelations. We're here with Suzi Quatro. Suzi, Queen of Glam Rock, Queen of Rock, lots of different titles bestowed upon you, along with Goldie and the Gingerbreads. Pleasure Seekers were the first all-female rock band. Before Fanny, before the Runaways, well before the Go-Go's, L7. It was Suzi and the Pleasure Seekers that broke gender barriers and showed the world that women can not only rock, but tear up the stage. And I want to go back to the very beginning, Suzi, and ask you, what was it for you that kicked open the door to your mind and made you want to pursue music? Do you remember a moment or a few moments that you knew that's what you had to do?
There's a few. One of them, which every time I tell the story, it's hard to believe it's real, but it is, because you might have gathered from the documentary that I'm an old bullshit girl, straightforward. The first big door opener for me was Elvis Presley, and I was 6 years old. Six. I was watching the Ed Sullivan Show with my family, like everybody did on a Sunday. It was the show, family entertainment. And one of my eldest sisters was 9 years older. So I was 6, she was 15, exactly the right age. And at the end of the show, Ed Sullivan always bring on something. He used to say, something for the youngsters, you know, and he'd bring out, he did, now something for the youngsters. So out comes Elvis Presley, and my elder sister was screaming. And I looked at her. This is the first real moment in my life. I looked at her and I thought, so I'm only 6. Why are you screaming? And then I turned and I looked at the TV and I went really in, like somebody had zoomed me into the TV. And my first thought was, I'm going to do that. That was at 6.
Well, All Shook Up, a remake of that. Elvis Presley said that that was his favorite version.
I'm all shook up, boy. Yeah.
After his.
Amazing. You know, he was my hero. You know the story. You know, I've told it a million times.
Well, tell us that, yeah, because okay. Elvis.
It was our first American tour with the English band. And I'd already had a few hits and everything. All Shook Up got released. And it got to the lower end of the charts, I think 45 or something, whatever. And I was in Memphis, and the phone rang, and Elvis's People came on first. You know, I'm like, because, you know, he's been here my entire career. He's been sitting on my shoulder. And then Elvis got on the phone, and I thought I would die. But I kept it cool. He said, I've heard your version of All Shook Up, and I think it's the best since my own. And would you like to come to Graceland? I said, no. And everybody looks at me like I'm a nutcase. And it wasn't because I was afraid. I said no because I wasn't quite ready to meet him yet. I'd only had 3 or 4 hits, and I thought, wait another year, then I'll be more, I didn't know he was going to die. But anyway, so he was a big fan. I even talked to his last girlfriend, and she said he used to go up into Rodney Bingenheimer's in the VIP room up at the top. And, of course, Rodney Bingenheimer was a big, big fan, huge. And he would listen to my stuff on the thing and look at the poster of me. I don't feel like there was anything sexual in it. I think he simply found me interesting.
Wow.
But I don't regret not meeting him, because if you're not familiar with it, familiarize yourself with it. I finally wrote a song in tribute to him called Singing with Angels. It was recorded in Nashville with James Burton and the Jordanaires at his studio.
Wow.
And I think not meeting him put me in that almost spiritual place where I could write this song. It's now recorded by Elvis impersonators. It's played at funerals. It's an important song. So I think if I had met him, that song wouldn't exist. And that song needed to be written. You can Google that. There's a beautiful video and everything for it. And Ray Walker from the Jordanaires said it was the best tribute he's ever heard.
Wow.
The first song. And that's pretty special. I wouldn't have written that song had I met him. And that song needed to be written.
Well, Suzi Quatro's self-titled album hit number 32 in the UK and number 5 in Germany. And got to talk about Can the Can, one of the greats. Number 1 in the UK, Australia, several other countries.
Big hit, yeah. But it sold, just that one song sold 2.5 million. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it established me, it was put together, long story short. I had the band together. We did the first Slay tour. I was the opening act. Hadn't had any success yet. But the band was happening. I got the band, got my people. And as we did that first Slay tour, we got our style together, doing all original material. And when we came off that tour, then Mickey said, boy, you guys got a happening sound now. So then he had just signed Mike Chapman and Nicky Chin. And he said, maybe they can write you a hit single, because that's what they were good at, the 3-minute crafted single. So they came and heard the band. We did the whole set, which was all original, all boogie. And Mike went away that night and wrote Can the Can. So he then brought it in, and the band worked out the arrangement. We all played our bit in that, and it became huge. Everything made sense then, yeah.
It hit number 56 in America as well. That was when people in America first saw you in that way. And Mike Chapman and Nicky Chin, they, of course, like you say, they wrote so many hits.
They did.
And Can the Can, as a kid, I always tried to figure out, what does that mean when you first hear it and you hear that energy?
Can it. Put them away. Can it. Keep them safe.
Yep.
But Mike did write a lot of nonsensical lyrics. That's what he was all about. But the reason I survived all that was because I always wrote all the albums, all the stuff. I'm a huge, prolific songwriter myself. But that arrangement worked very well for us. I could just write and not worry about crafting the single thing. Although some of my songs were singles, and a lot of them could have been. That was the arrangement we had and we agreed upon at that time. Yeah.
That primal scream toward the end of the song, just amazing. Tell me about recording that. What do you remember?
Oh, my God. That scream has been in my repertoire since 1964.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were playing at somewhere, and there was no stage, which is pretty normal for when you're just starting out. And the people were complaining that they couldn't see me because I'm so small. So somebody said, put the singer on the table so we can see her. So somebody put me up on top of the table. So there I am on top of the table with my bass guitar. And we were going to do You Love Me, right?
Yeah.
By the concourse.
Yep.
And I looked at the people now down below me and I went, ow, do you love me? And they went nuts. I went, oh, they like that. It came from me. And then I clocked it as something that really worked. Whatever that scream is, it calls to the audience. And as an entertainer, when you do like Elvis did, when you do certain things that react, then you keep it in your arsenal. So I didn't do it to do anything other than I did it. And then I thought, oh, so I kept it in there. And Mike said to me while we were recording it, I need something here, Suzie. I went, right. just excuse me a minute. And I went to the microphone and out it came. And people talked about it. When I do that on stage, people wait for that moment. It's really a primal scream, isn't it?
It is.
It goes inside you. And it's so strange to see people go, wow, when I scream and they applaud. I think, well, how many women can get applauded for their screams? I mean, that makes me laugh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And that guitar solo at the end, too, is just great.
Really good. It was a good band. It was a real good band.
Let's talk about the documentary, because that is obviously opening people's eyes, people that
Absolutely
aren't aware. And that's what's great about this in the time that we live in with technology. This documentary, just incredible. Tell me about this experience and about really looking back on your career, what you're most grateful for to this point.
Oh, God. Well, when I watch it, I cry. You know, it's emotional because it's your life on the big screen. You just kind of go, geez, I can't. And some of the things people say, it's just so humbling. And God, I needed to do this for a long time. And I'm happy that I stuck to my guns and I made it honest. And when you come away from it, you will see the obstacles I had to overcome. It has not been easy. I didn't just decide one day to be famous and it happened. That's not the way it works. It never does work that way. The whole experience has been marvelous. In fact, when I went to my first premiere to do my first question and answer thing in London, and I hadn't seen it on the big screen and I hadn't seen it with an audience. So it was real like this, you know, I'm thinking, oh my God, are you guys going to like it? And I snuck in and kind of stood on the edge so they didn't see me. But some of them didn't. They were nearly going to scream and I went, shh. So I watched it with the audience and I cried. And there were moments when I wanted to crawl out of the theater on my hands and knees and sneak out, okay? Those are the most important things in the film, those moments. Just humbling. All the women in there telling me this and that and this and that. You know, you don't. What can you say? I've had a lifetime. I've had a wonderful career, 56 years. I've been lucky enough to be successful at my chosen profession. I'm not going to stop until it's time to stop.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Leave us a comment on Suzi Quatro and her music below. Just amazing. You can see the documentary now as it's on demand on various streaming platforms. Click on our link below in the description for more information about that. Click on our Amazon links to Suzi's music and merch in the description. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe below and also support us on Patreon to help us keep curating the history of these great songs and incredible artists. Help us keep the music alive. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.